Alyssa. I'm the chef at Lone Oak Brew Pub out on the Causeway. Really excited to be here today. Canada's Food Island asked me to make a really fun Christmas-inspired sandwich. So we're going to be using this PEI brisket chuck short rib. It's super beefy, really flavorful, lots of fat. So if you can see all the marbling, that's what we're looking for. It's an amazing cut of meat. And I know we're gonna make a sandwich out of it, but this is gonna be like a recipe twofer. So I'm gonna show you how to braise this off so you can get just a delicious braised, kind of expensive, indulgent short rib that you could serve with your mashed potatoes and gravy and vegetables. And then what we'll do today is what you would use your leftovers for. Also, for our braising purposes and in our mayo today, we're going to be using Upstreet's Libra Stout, which is a non-alcoholic beer, which once we're cooked, there's no alcohol anyway, but it's an amazing product, so that's what we're going to showcase today. So the dish in its entirety is going to be stout braised short rib, caramelized onions, a stuffing butter. We're going to make a cranberry stout mayo, and we're going to top that with a little Swiss imported Gruyere for that nutty, melty cheese. And then the French dip part would be the jus on the side. So our braising liquid from our beef, we then turn in to the soup to dip our sandwiches in. So really exciting stuff. To start off, we're gonna braise the meat, and that's just what's gonna take you the longest amount of time. Because we're looking at, give or take 3.5, 4 hours at around 375, 400 degrees. So these are bone in. But what's convenient about him is it's just one bone. It looks like a rib bone. So there's no butchering, it's not hard, it's one clean cut straight down. So anybody can do it. So your bones are right there and straight down. No muss, no fuss. You don't have to worry about anything. So we're going to heavily season these with salt and pepper. Look like a lot, but there's thick meat. So we don't want to just season the outside. When we shred it, we want to make sure that the inside seasoned as well. So also when we're cooking, we don't want to use like table salt. I'm cooking or seasoning meats. Kosher salt for me is the one to use. Lots of salt and pepper. We're going to get our pan nice and hot, and we're just going to use vegetable oil, canola oil. We wouldn't want to use an olive oil or anything at this point because it's going to burn. So but we're gonna, in the whole heat, we're leaving those. We're not gonna fuss and move them around because we need those proteins to caramelize on the bottom to give us the color that we want. That's gonna flavor all the broth. So while those are searing, we are going to work on the mirepoix, which is gonna be your carrots, your onions, and your celery. That's gonna go into your braising liquid. These don't need to look pretty. It's just flavor. So we're getting nice color, but we're gonna take it a little bit darker. So end result, we're looking for like that kind of dark amber caramel color. All of our vegetables would go in. I use a lot of garlic, so to your discretion. In there, we crack open a good old stove. That's also going to help loosen all the goods on the bottom of that pan. So if we had a bigger vessel, we do a little scraping to get that, they call it a fond. Get those crusts off the bottom because that's also flavored, right? So stock goes in right after the stout. And at this point, I would add a little bit of salt and pepper because I'm a big preacher of season as you go. What I would do now is my oven's already preheated to 400 degrees, 375. I'm gonna put a little bit of parchment paper if we have it, and then tin foil, or your lid if you're using a roasting pan. But the parchment paper, if the meat's a little bit high, the protein will eat at that tin foil and it'll get stuck and kind of stuck to your meat. So that parchment paper really helps, keeps a good seal and stops the protein from touching that tin foil. And then you just braise these, and you know they're done because like we all see on TV and everybody pulls the bone out and it's all clean and same thing's gonna happen. It's actually quite fun. So you could very well just serve these on the bone, like real kind of caveman style, or you could pull it out, portion it, nice little cubes. But that is the base for beautifully braised short ribs. So instead of putting actual dressing, we're just gonna use the stuffing flavored butter instead. ADL, I like salted butter. If you have unsalted, that's totally fine. You just have to make sure that it tasted a little bit. So everything that we put into a dressing, we all make it a little bit differently. And because we're not putting actual celery into it, I put celery in my dressing. Celery salt gives it that vegetal quality that we like. Vegetal, that's a good word. And then I like to add a little bit of poultry seasoning. It's just the flavor that we're all used to. So garlic powder, and that's savory. Onion powder, that's celery salt, and poultry seasoning. I also am a fan of the black pepper, so I use quite a bit. But all you have to do is melt butter and mix those seasonings together and it's done. French rolls, I like because once they're toasted, crispy on the outside, but super soft on the inside. Once this is melted, brush on anything, done. Stuffing butter, perfect. Our stout and cranberry mayo. Guess what stout? We're gonna reduce it. Only reduce it halfway, and it would normally take a little bit, but we're gonna help it out by adding cranberry sauce. You can make homemade cranberry sauce. You can go grab that right out of the can, cranberry. Full can of stout, that's coffee flavors, roasted, yummy, kind of deep, fruity, tart, sweet, which is gonna counteract any bitter and hoppiness that's coming out of that stout. Cranberry, and I was going 1 can of stout to half a can of cranberry sauce. You do want to bring it to a boil, and then you just want to take it down to a simmer and then watch it. Once it's reduced down, it looks like really thick, a little darker cranberry jam. You can make your own mayo. Hellmann's also works really well. I say do whatever you want. If you use Miracle Whip, I'm not going to judge you. Other people might. Mayo. And all of our reduction, we fold that guy in. And we add a little bit of salt and pepper. So that mayo is going to be nice and sweet. Caramelized onions. Spanish onions, white onions, red if you wanted to, they all caramelize beautifully. We slice our onions nice and thin. We start off with canola oil and a little bit of butter, but we use the both because that butter is going to burn by itself. So we need to bring up that smoking point. We're going to put them in and we're going to go medium-low so they don't burn. And just slow as she goes. They'll caramelize. It takes half an hour, 45 minutes. If they start to stick, a little bit of water, and the onions will suck up that liquid right back up so they won't be watery. Mine fairly far, like a peanut butter brown, and they're super sweet, nice and soft, seasoned with salt and pepper, and you can always finish them with a little bit of balsamic vinegar, a little bit of butter, toasted stuffing butter, little French baguette. There's something to be said about PI beef, especially these short ribs. They're so tender, and they're so good. We're using the Gruyere because the nutty notes in this like Swiss style cheese go really well with stout. Regular Swiss cheese, just as nice. And we're gonna close him up, put him in the oven, and once he's melted, we're gonna take him out and then dip him in our delicious braising liquid. So once that beef is done, we take all the liquid, we take the fat away, and then you just blend it. And season it up, a little more salt and pepper, little beef stock if you need it, and it turns into the best soup to dip these sandwiches in. This is the best Christmas sandwich to make out of any leftover short rib, roast beef, whatever we're using. This is gonna be it.